What's up, math scholars? Happy Monday. It's sunny outside, but everybody's looking really tired. You guys look tired a lot. It's the afternoon. I think it's hot in here. That's making me, sleepy. Are you hot? Yeah? Well, guess what? Good news. We're going to be singing the Quadratic Formula song today. People think this song is really, really silly, but guess what? It works and it helps you memorize it. I had my juniors take the ACT last week, and they told me, good thing you taught me that Quadratic Formula song, Mrs. Harp. I remembered it for the ACT. They don't give it to you on the ACT. You have to have it memorized, so that's exciting. Who wants to sing today? Yeah! Yeah! Woo! They do a great job of clapping even when they look tired. Okay, you can use the quadratic formula to solve any quadratic. And you're probably like, what's a quadratic? Quadratic is something that has an x squared in it. So if you cannot factor it, you cannot solve it using square roots for whatever reason, the quadratic formula would be your way to go. This formula actually would always work, not just in the case where it's non-factorable. It will always work if there's an x squared term. Well, that's kind of nice to know. So take a peek. That's how big it is. Whoa. So I'm going to put it up on my formula board, and then we're going to sing the quadratic formula song together. Okay? So go ahead and write it in your notebook. X equals the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2 times a. Join me! X equals the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2 times a. X equals the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2 times a. X equals the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2 times a. Okay, great job singing! Alright, so we did a lot of fun singing. I think they're more awake now. The goal here is to have your equation set equal to 0 before putting the formula into play. So we will keep our eye on that concept as we go. Our first problem of the day is already set equal to 0, so that is not a problem. So we're right off the bat, we're ready to identify what A, B, and C are. So you've had a little bit of practice with this when we were doing the standard form problems and doing the standard form vertex equation. So let's do what we did last week and list out our A, B, and C. Who wants to do it for me? Brooke?
A is 2.
Good.
The B is -3.
Yep. Now I'm going to put a little asterisk by the -3. Anytime you have a negative b, it is a little bit more difficult than having a positive b, because you have that opposite of b concept, and then you have the b squared concept. So you just need to be careful, okay? So we're going to sing the song really slowly as we put these numbers in, okay? Feel free to sing along with me if you'd like. X equals the opposite of b. Put your 3 in as a positive 3. Plus or minus the square root of, make a huge square root, b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2 times a. You kind of sing it in slow motion so you have time to write. I did this, but I didn't tell you I did it. I put the parentheses around the -3 squared, because that's how you need to type it in. Right, do you think it'd be a good idea to put all this in the calculator at one time? No! Several problems. You have all this stuff needed to be done and all this other stuff to be divided by. You would actually need like 3 sets of parentheses to make it work all at once. Another big problem, we have this plus minus. There's no plus and minus button on the calculator, right? So we're going to use our calculator for bits and pieces. This is the first thing I want you to type in. There's a special word for that stuff in the green circle, and the special word is discriminant. I could see that word coming up on the air test, maybe. The discriminant can tell you a lot about a problem. It can tell you if it has two solutions. In fact, if the discriminant is positive, this problem would have two solutions. If the discriminant is negative, guess how many solutions our problem would have? None, because we can't square root a negative. And then if your discriminant is 0, it would actually only have one solution. But let's go ahead and type this discriminant in and see what we get. I get really happy if the discriminant is a perfect square. What'd you guys get for your discriminant? 49. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect square. So it's really, really, really good. Go ahead now that you know it's 49 and square root the 49. Do you remember where your square root button is? Hopefully, we used it last week. The square root of 49 is positive and negative 7, which is kind of why there's a positive and negative sign here. I encourage students to do the 2 times a just in their heads. What's 2 times 2? Okay, so let's talk how to proceed from here and finish it off. You have to do the math problem twice right now. You basically have to do 3 plus 7 and divide that answer by 4. And you also need to do 3 minus 7 and divide that answer by 4. So let's do 3 plus 7 first. 3 plus 7 over 4 would be 10 over 4, which is, I think, 2.5, but you might want to check me on that. Oh, gosh, that circle didn't go as planned. 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. I'm not going to circle it because my board doesn't like writing on that edge. Okay, then you do the math problem a second time, and you do 3 minus 7 divided by 4. 3 minus 7 is negative 4, and negative 4 over 4 is negative 1. So how's that look for our 2 answers? And I looked in the book, and they use the word and between them. So my 2 answers are 2.5 and negative 1. All right, so we got our 2 answers, 2.5 and negative 1, and we're going to try another problem. So right off the bat, before you use your quadratic formula, you want to make sure you're set equal to 0. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, I'm not set equal to 0 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and move this 4 to the other side. Seven minus 4 is 3. Now I do just want to point out that if this looks like something that is easily factorable, you could still use factoring to solve this. So if you want to try a box method real quick and see if it is factorable, you could. But since we're doing quadratic formula today, let's just stick with our quadratic formula. I'm actually thinking this one would be factorable with the box method. So I'm just talking you through my thought process. I would be putting my 4b squared here, my 3 here, I would get 12, and then 6 and 2 would be my numbers that would add up and multiply. You absolutely could solve it that way. But we're just practicing the quadratic formula, so let's try that. Who can tell me what my A and my B and my C are? Hannah? 4, 8, and 3. All right, you ready to break out in song? Guessing it slow. Don't go too fast. Okay, ready? X equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all divided by 2 times A. You guys are much better at singing than my last class. Probably because I paid you with tickets, maybe. All right, so what do we want to type in first? What's it called? The discriminant. It's the stuff in the pink circle. So go ahead and type it in. When I do these, I actually kind of sort of silently wish my discriminant is negative, because then I can stop and say no solution. But I don't think that's going to happen on this one. Did anybody get that discriminant? Andrea? 16. Awesome. Why don't we go ahead and square root the 16 then? That is a perfect square, so we'll square root very nicely. What is the square root of 16? 4. Good. So yeah, once you get your discriminant, don't forget to square root it. It is under the square root symbol. I would go ahead and do my 2 times 4 on the bottom in my head. 2 times 4 equals 8. And now we get to split this into 2 math problems. Negative 8 plus 4 divided by 8 is our one math problem. And negative 8 minus 4 divided by 8 is the other math problem. So negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4 divided by 8. That's negative 4. I don't know why I wrote like that. It's negative 0.5. And then down here, negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12 divided by 8. So what does that end up being? Negative 1.5. There's your 2 answers. You can put the word "and" in between them. Just kind of out of space over there on my board.
If they're like in front.
All right, everybody's doing really great today, so I'm going to have the students do this last one all by themselves, and that'll be their graduation problem, and then we can call it a day. Pause it and let you work, and pause the video and try it yourself.